Hello World Wide Web, I'm Dr. Shado, the internet personality with the best hair. Okay, so we've established that I like blood, guts, guns, titties, giant action, sci-fi, campy storylines, and all that, so why the hell haven't I reviewed Starship Troopers yet? Oh, mainly due to not having it, which, as you can tell at this point, is certainly not a problem anymore. This film series began in the late 90s, around the same time as other retro-style stories were given a modern makeover, such as Mars Attacks and Eight-Legged Freaks. Starship Troopers, however, licensed the name and characters from a book from 1959, Starship Troopers, though the movie is actually not really based on the novel. Originally, this movie was working off a script called Bug Hunt at Outpost 9, and only after someone else noticed the superficial similarities to Starship Troopers was it suggested that they actually get the rights to make a Starship Troopers movie and retrofit the script to fit the novel, which they didn't work that hard on, as the movie's director, Paul Verhoeven, hated the book, finding it boring and depressing. He ended up asking someone else to just give him the gist of it, as he couldn't make it past chapter 2. Also, I don't really think I can avoid talking about the extremely political tone of the book and the film in this review. Simply put, the novel romanticized a pretty extreme political stance, heavily pro-militarization and what have you. Verhoeven, however, didn't agree with these views, but instead of changing it entirely in the movie, decided to satirize the concept to absurdity, making the world a militaristic utopia, with the irony being that it's only useful for killing bugs. And as I've spent far too long in the introductory phase already, and this is a 2-hour movie, let's go ahead and take a look at Starship Troopers and see if a movie based on a book that isn't actually based on at least ages well. The opening is, of course, the insanely overt military propaganda, parodying similar wartime propaganda of the 1940s, depicting the mobile infantry in the best light possible.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part too.
Aw, little Billy's gonna die horribly. How cute. This also serves to very suddenly introduce the enemy forces in this film, the arachnids of Klandathu, as the movie segues into a live broadcast on the planet's surface.
It's an ugly planet! A planet hostile to life!
This is why your propaganda is supposed to be heavily edited. Shit happens on live TV. But much like Creepy giving up and accepting I won't make a porno with him, these events haven't actually happened yet. So we instead jump back 1 year earlier to meet our important characters for this film.
Rico!
I guess. Casper Van Dien playing the role of Johnny Rico is probably the closest you can get to a protagonist in this film, though personally I find his Professor Ratchak, played by Michael Ironside, to be far more impressive. But let's not leave out Carmen, played by Denise Richards, our love interest, whom, while a bit classy-eyed, character-wise is supposed to be far more intelligent than Rico over here.
35%, very nice. Look at that.
So does that mean that in the future an F is a passing grade? Well, that certainly makes school a hell of a lot less stressful. Introducing Neil Patrick Harris as Carl Jenkins, the brainy guy, typecast much, who, while relatively minor in terms of screen time, is still important enough to the overall plot, partly thanks to his psychic abilities.
I see the ace of spades.
Another skill Rico simply doesn't have, but don't worry about this movie coming up with some silly off-the-wall explanation as to why psychic power is real and measurable in this universe. They don't come up with any explanation at all. On the plus side, Rico does win the future football game, proving he does qualify as a meathead, which explains why in his brilliant plan to secretly join the Federal Service, he has his recruitment papers sent to his house, with his parents, who are very much against this idea.
It's my decision, not yours.
Oh, is that how it is, huh?
Okay, I am watching the big sci-fi action flick, right? Because I am very worried at this point that I accidentally put in a teen drama. His father really doesn't like this idea and resorts to threatening Rico in ways up to and including kicking him out.
You walk out that door, you are cut off, young man. You understand me? All right, that's it. You are cut off!
Oh no. No home? Oh, what is he going to do now? I mean, his only option really is to do something like join the military, where such a thing won't be an issue. Until his tour of service ends, anyway. No surprise to the rest of us, Rico's desire to be a citizen might be taking a backseat to his desire to fuck the shit out of Carmen. This strategy of joining the military to do so might not be so keen, as she's going to be a literal cosmic distance away in a different division.
I love you.
Oh, she was getting her bags. I was about to say, I know this is R-rated, but damn. Point point is, after we break to remind us, hey, this is satirical, we find Rico at boot camp under his new drill sergeant, Zim, played by Clancy Brown, who spends his first minute on screen explaining to the audience how to quit being a soldier.
You son from 1248, you grab your gear, you take a stroll down Washout Lane. Do you get me? Sir, yes, sir!
Well, I do have to commend him. This is a very efficient way to process new recruits. At this point in the movie, we get to witness Rico's adventures in boot camp, such as finding out another schoolmate of his, Dizzy Flores, played by Dina Meyer, has tracked him down and requested to join his unit. Not that he likes this.
I joined up to get out on my own, and you had to tag along.
Dude, she wants the D. But she'll have to wait, as we have to introduce Ace, played by Jake Busey, whom is in fact the son of Gary Busey, and that is far more interesting than anything this character does. I mean, he's in a bunch of scenes, and first he's full of himself, and he has this character arc, and we see him building. He does a good job acting the role, but he really doesn't do anything plot relevant. If you ask me, to qualify as plot relevant, an action must mean something down the line, such as when Dizzy helps Rico win at taxpayer-funded laser tag. This means he gets promoted to squad leader, just in time for him to get that video mail from Carmen, now an ace rookie pilot, about how being in love is nice and all, but now that she's been away for 10 minutes, suddenly she feels things aren't working out and they should start seeing other people.
Funny how they always want to be friends after they rip your guts out. Hey, still got me to kick around.
I mean, sure, the woman of your dreams kicked you to the curb, but don't worry, this big unit of sweaty, manly men is there to take you into their arms and... Change the subject fast. That'll work. Turns out, in his first exercise as squad leader, Rico happened to try to fix a problem with a soldier's helmet at just the right moment for him to get shot in the fucking head. How the helmet would have actually been able to prevent that death, I don't know, considering that they don't really go into the ballistics in this movie, and they also don't use big power suits like they did in the book, but all freak accidents need a scapegoat, so Rico must be punished. So many jokes I could make right here. And I can't. Because I'm white. Fuck! Let's check back up with Carmen in space. She runs into a very plot-relevant asteroid heading right for them, so they wait until the last second to dodge the impact. As if the thing were sentient and would change course in reaction to seeing them dodge. This unnecessary delay does knock out their communications equipment, making it so they can't warn Earth about the giant fucking space rock anyway. This means that when we get back to Rico, now convinced he's not cut out for the mobile infantry, which is enough to make his parents more than happy to welcome him back home.
Sure is dark.
Your transmission has been terminated due to atmospheric interference.
Now come to think of it, that rock really did have quite the knack for slamming into important characters. Gotta love the speed at which decisions are made in this universe, because in the couple of minutes it takes Rico to start going towards Washout Lane...
Hey, what's going on? War! We're going to war!
And we didn't even hear what the fuck happened yet, and we already know what we're gonna do about it. There's a newsreel showing the event to the people that evidently the asteroid that just hit 1 minute ago had come from Klandathu, launched via bug plasma as an interstellar act of war. I know psychics in this movie are real, but damn, that's pretty fast. And also, if they are using the psychics, then couldn't they have seen this coming and done something about it? And furthermore, there isn't any real evidence to suggest this had anything to do with the arachnids of Klandathu, but that in and of itself is actually intentionally vague in this movie. It might be legit, or it might be an unrelated incident politically charged as an excuse to declare war. Either way, the movie really gets moving at this point, with Rico managing to un-enlist just as fast as he quit, and everyone preparing for the big drop on Klandathu. Arachnid fireworks be damned.
Bug batteries. According to military intelligence, it'll be random and light.
Random and light. It's like being hit with a super soaker. Filled with napalm. Well, no wonder their aim sucks at firing out of their asses. Starting the "oh shit, this is harder than we thought" phase of the operation, as the first arachnid they come toe-to-toe with kills the fuck out of one of their guys, and then the landscape becomes very reminiscent of Earth Defense Force, if the game was as dismemberment-focused as Dead Space. Dude, he just got out of the transports. Where the fuck is the back to fall to?
It's an ugly planet! A bug planet! A planet hostile to life!
Oh, back to the opening. Fair enough. This goes as well as we saw before, with Rico finding himself standing off against a few stragglers, right up until... well, that is going to make following him as the protagonist of this film for the next hour a bit awkward. Carmen, who we saw blow the fuck up, evidently had an extra life, so is sad to find out that Rico has bit the big one, without taking into account that Rico may in fact have a continue or two as well.
You're dead!
Killed in action!
I'm starting to wonder if there was a deleted scene where a guy just walked up to him while he's broken and bloodied and said, "I'll save your life for 50 cents. 9, 8, 7... When he gets out, him and his surviving squad mates get transferred to another unit, led by... their former teacher, who it turns out has one more lesson to give.
You don't do your job, I'll shoot you.
Well, that does explain why the government is so efficient in this movie. As their original mission to take Klandathu failed, the new tactic is to whittle down the Arachnid forces in the surrounding planets, starting with Tango Urilla, and using an actual strategy where their air forces bomb the fuck out of the bugs before they send in the foot soldiers to die.
Fire teams! You locate a bug hole, nuke it.
Even though the infantry had much better tech in the book than in the movie, wouldn't it still make more sense to give the nuclear missiles to the aircraft? Going by the competency level the soldiers have shown thus far, a nuclear RPG sounds like a very awkward way to die. It works well enough for them, annihilating a tunnel right before another skirmish with the Arachnids, where they find themselves ambushed by one of the big subterranean beetle things with electric antennae and fire powers. They have the flamethrower fuel in their carapace, which they burst out of their head with the electric antenna, which they can spark at will to ignite it, turning them into living blowtorches. And the reason that they have this electrical charge in that thing, they can, it's because that is a. Look at that! Awesome kill! There's no need to answer any questions. These very impressive moves earn Rico the rank of Corporal, along with the fact that the previous Corporal is now a cripple. This calls for a celebration, and for Dizzy to again try to get in Rico's pants, which doesn't go quite as planned.
Come on, do I have to pull rank?
Using authoritative powers to avoid having sex. You know what? Never mind. The Arachnids launching a rock light years away in a couple of days with butt plasma has suddenly become far more believable. His idiocy is obvious enough for even Ratchek to tell him to just fuck already. And so...
What's so funny?
You know, it's the way things work out.
I know what you mean. In the book, Dizzy was a man. Not much time to enjoy this, though, as it turns out that they have to pack up and head off to Planet P. That doesn't sound like a great place to be. One good reason being that this is home to big fucking flying bugs whom scoop up their communications officer. Not to fear, Ratchak is there to...
I'd expect anyone in this unit to do the same for me.
I understand the concept of a mercy kill, but we've already established that they have the real-life game genie for unlimited lives. How the hell was this man beyond saving? Again, this means Rico gets another promotion to Sergeant as they reach the military base that sent the distress signal they were responding to. There is something very odd about the bodies that they have found, however.
They sucked his brains out.
Something down there sucked their brains out.
Can't any monster just use a spoon like a civilized creature? What is with all the brain sucking? They do find one survivor, a general, who seems a bit out of his mind, but exposits information about the brain-sucking bugs that can evidently control the people they are sucking on.
They're just like us. They want to know what makes us tick. They want to know us so they can kill us.
Well, first they just wanted to know about us, but as soon as they found out about Katy Perry, it was all over. He might have been onto something with that mind control, too, as the distress call happened to lead this group into an ambush by the Arachnids. This, of course, leads to a pretty kick-ass action sequence. And I just love their reaction there, like, oh well, shit happens. The number of enemies is so damn high that they'd wind up creating a ramp for the rest of the Arachnids to get over the wall. In response, the soldiers fall back to the center of the compound, holding out until their extraction arrives. Unfortunately, the bugs also begin attacking from underneath, resulting in Ratchek losing a few appendages.
You know what to do.
For fuck's sake, they're just legs. You don't need legs. Is it too much to ask that these people actually be mortally wounded before they request the mercy kill? Don't worry about the beetle, though. Dizzy takes it out like a boss from The Legend of Zelda. And then gets the fuck stabbed out of her by one of the basic noob enemies. You guys do realize she would have had a better chance of surviving had you left that in, right? Yeah, but then she can't die all dramatically and make us feel sad for Rico. Right when we learn that the transport is being flown by Carmen, now just learning that Rico's still breathing. But we can't pause to get too emotional, as Rico wants to bomb the bugs to hell. Except that he can't because they're planning some other big operation instead.
We're going back to P to capture that brain.
P for brains. Got it.
I hear they need a new lieutenant. Want the job? I'll take it.
Okay, how many people have died so far, leading to this man's perpetual promotions? I know the movie's almost over, but I feel like this is this domino rally of death that's going to cause him to become the master of the universe. Still, we get to see how much Rico has grown, with his ability to run the whole show.
Don't do your job, I'll kill you myself.
By plagiarizing those who came before him. Listen, Rico, it's okay to be inspired, but at least come up with your own damn lines. So the mobile infantry moves out in search of the brain bug, while the fleet stays just within range of enemy fire. What good has the fleet done for this whole movie? Carmen's ship has been hit, but amidst the chaos, she and her co-pilot boyfriend Xander, played by Patrick Muldoon, manage to reach an escape pod. Xander is a pretty important character, I guess. He's been there for most of the movie as Carmen's yes man, and he beat, well, he didn't beat, he was fighting against Rico on the football team, but he was beating him for a bit, and then Rico beat him. But he's, yeah, he really hasn't done anything of note for most of the running time. Originally, Xander was supposed to die in the ship, but they swapped him and the captain for that honor, meaning he's the only one with Carmen trying to fight off the hive of bugs they just so happen to slam into. Fortunately, Rico has caught wind of her descent, and hears her calls for... Oh, don't be so worried. After the bugs rip her guts out, I'm sure they'll still want to be friends. Actually, Carmen and company are not dead. Turns out that this is how the movie wants to reveal to us the brains of the bug operation. The... brain bug. Whom clearly has far more brains than Xander here. Well, I mean, what was he supposed to do? I mean, he was completely unarmed. I mean, if he had, oh, I don't know, a knife, he could have done something like this. Keeping Carmen's brains intact long enough for Rico to show up with a handy-dandy nuke, only giving him enough time to secure the woman and initiate a tactical retreat, complete with the cinematic requirement of leaving the recognizable yet minor character behind to blow himself the fuck up, saving the important characters. By the time they reach the surface again... the climax already happened while the camera was away. Yeah. As the mobile infantry successfully captured a brain bug of their very own, thanks to the help of Private Zim. And yes, I know they invaded the planet, making him Invader Zim, but come on, how many people are going to get that joke? But even Doogie Howser made it to the ending, just in time to tell us what this victory means.
It's afraid.
It's afraid!
Good! Why should we care? And because that's how our story comes to a close, with Rico and Carmen more or less back together now that her boyfriend is bug food, and the war still going on with no real movement to the line of scrimmage either way. Which is a good ending. It's not bad. I mean, a lot of people died, but worth it? Well, that was Starship Troopers, and yeah, to me it's really damn entertaining. I think the best way I can describe this movie is a pretty simple cheesy sci-fi action flick that somehow ended up with a huge budget. While politics were at the heart of the source material, and people can read as deeply into the way it works in this movie as they like, I honestly feel more like it's just the canvas that the more important points of the story are laid upon and focused on. Going by actual story with discernible beginning, middle, and end, it's really about the relationship between Rico and Carmen. That has all the structure and exposition you'd expect from a 2-hour movie. The war with the bugs is a very entertaining setting, but there isn't all that much going on with it to grab my interest. As giant bugs, they live in a far-off system and get blamed for the rocks smashing into Earth. Okay, and they're capable of strategizing thanks to one of them being considerably smarter than the rest. Great! Where does that leave us? Still at war with the same end goal as they started with, and no closer to reaching it. But like I said, that part really doesn't feel all that important to the story. Entertaining though it might be, the war effort comes off with the priority of a subplot. It's what weaves all the other stories together and keeps the movie whole, but by itself offers very little if you ask me. Overall, Starship Troopers is an interesting case in cinema, being so big and high budget and of such politically charged source material, yet at its heart, popcorn entertainment that knows that and embraces it without hesitation. Some of the acting quality is a bit shaky from scene to scene, and it's interesting in that it depicts a war spanning several planets that honestly feels moot, but I'll be damned if it's not a blast to watch, coming in at 4 dangerously volatile anal projectiles out of 5. Like the book, Starship Troopers can be considered a classic, although for very different reasons. Unlike the book, the movie had a couple sequels. Went straight to DVD. It's a really good sign. Thank you all for watching. I've been Decker Shado, and remember, it's never a bad idea to invest in industrial-size can of Raid.
Come on, what's he gonna do?